I'm Ezekiel Crowe, and this is the chilling tale of Goatman's Bridge, a place where history bleeds into horror, where spirits whisper of vengeance, and the land itself mourns a catastrophic past.
Scars everywhere.
Deep in the heart of Texas, there's a bridge where history and horror collide. A place where the past refuses to stay buried, and the whispers of the dead echo through the night like a mournful dirge. Welcome to Goatman's Bridge, a rustic relic of a bygone era, shrouded in dark legends and chilling tales that have haunted this land for over a century. Tales that cling to the air like the fog around me. I'm standing on a piece of history that's soaked in blood and mystery. Old Alton Bridge, better known as Goatman's Bridge, a place that's seen more than its share of darkness. I've heard the stories my whole life growing up just a few miles from here. Tales my granddaddy told me about a creature that stalks these planks. A creature born from a tragedy so vile it stains the very ground we're on. Located just outside Denton, Texas, the old Alton Bridge sits nestled among the trees near Hickory Creek, a quiet stream that's flowed here for centuries, its waters carrying secrets older than the bridge itself. It's a still, unassuming spot today, but don't let that fool ya. This bridge has a story to tell, one that spans generations and blurs the line between fact and folklore, between the living and the dead. This bridge has stood here since 1884, a silent witness to the lives that crossed it. Farmers heading to market with their wares, families moving to new homes in search of a better life, kids racing across on dares, their laughter echoing through the trees. Back then, Denton was a growing town, full of hope and hard work, a place where folks built their dreams on the promise of the land. But even in those early days, there was something off about this place. Folks said the creek whispered at night, voices carrying on the wind, voices that didn't belong to the living. They called it a cursed spot, a place where the veil between worlds was thin, where the land remembered every drop of blood spilled on it.
Scars everywhere.
Before iron spanned the water, before legend took hold, the first people knew these woods, this creek. The Tonkawa walked here, not as owners, but as kin to the land itself. They spoke of spirits, guardians tied to the earth, whispering secrets in the rustle of leaves, in the murmur of the creek. Warnings, some said, to those who wouldn't listen.
Scars everywhere.
The Tonkawa, Caddo, Comanche, and Wichita, they lived in harmony with this land, hunting its game, gathering its roots, honoring its spirits with every step. Hickory Creek was their lifeblood, a sacred place where the guardians of the water spoke. This land is alive, a Tonkawa elder might have said. Its spirits guard us, but they weep when darkness comes. But darkness did come. Settlers brought disease, war, and removal, tearing tribes from their homes by the 1800s, forcing them onto reservations, their cries swallowed by the wind. Their spirits never left. They're embedded in the scars of this land, their voices in the creek, their warnings in the wind. The darkness grows, they might have whispered, for the land remembers. Those sensitive enough to hear it, like the ones who've seen the Goatman, know the truth. Hickory Creek is alive, telling a story of grief and vengeance over and over to those who listen.
Scars everywhere.
Our journey tonight's gonna take us through the bridge's construction, its role in the community, and the dark tales that have made it infamous. Tales of violence so brutal, they birthed a legend that still haunts these woods. We'll dig into the story of the Goatman himself, a creature born from tragedy, said to stalk these planks, and the paranormal encounters that draw ghost hunters from around the world, looking for proof of what lurks in the shadows. This ain't just a ghost story. It's a nightmare carved into history. A nightmare that's been waiting for over a century to be told. And we're just getting started. Stick around, if you dare. The story of Goatman's Bridge begins in 1884, when the King Iron Bridge Manufacturing Company of Cleveland, Ohio, crafted this engineering marvel, a structure that'd stand the test of time and carry the weight of tragedy for decades to come. At the time, Denton County was growing fast, a frontier town bustling with new settlers, dreamers, and hard workers looking to carve out a life in the wilds of Texas. The folks in Alton, a small settlement just a stone's throw from the bridge, needed a reliable way to cross Hickory Creek, a stream that could turn treacherous after a heavy rain, swelling with mud and secrets that had been buried in its depths for centuries. This bridge, with its sturdy iron frame and wooden deck, was the answer, a lifeline linking farmers, traders, and families across the region, a path to new opportunities in a land that promised plenty, but hid its dangers well. Horses clopped across its planks, their hooves echoing through the quiet woods like a heartbeat, and by the early 1900s, cars rumbled over it too, their engines a new sound in a changing world, a world that was moving forward while something dark lingered behind. But as time marched on, the world changed. Alton faded away, its wooden storefronts crumbling into dust, its dreams swallowed by the creeping vines and the passing years. A new bridge was built nearby in 2001, leaving Old Alton Bridge to retire from its working days, its iron frame standing as a monument to a forgotten era, and a harbinger of the darkness that'd soon take hold. Now it stands as a historic site, preserved for its architectural value, but also for the stories it holds, stories that started whispering in the 1930s, tales of tragedy and unrest that had transformed this quiet crossing into something far more sinister, something that'd give this bridge a new name and a new purpose. I've walked these planks more times than I can count, listening to the whispers on the wind, feeling the chill that ain't from the weather. The bridge's history ain't just about iron and wood. It's about the people who crossed it, the lives that were changed, and the ones that were lost in ways too horrific to imagine. By the 1930s, those whispers turned into something darker, something that'd mark this bridge as a place of no return, a place where the past don't just linger, it hunts.
Scars everywhere.
Now let's step into the shadows. The legend of the Goatman is what put this bridge on the map, not just for locals, but for anyone fascinated by the strange and unexplained, anyone who's ever felt the chill of something watching from the dark. The most well-known tale begins in the 1930s with a man named Oscar Washburn, a black goat farmer who lived just a few yards from this bridge, a man who built a life here with his wife and 2 young children, a life that should have been full of hope. Oscar was good at what he did, maybe too good, tending his goats with a care that made them the best in the county, earning respect from some folks who saw his skill, but stirring a deep, burning envy and hatred in others who couldn't stand to see a black man thrive in a world built to keep him down. To advertise his business, Oscar hung that sign on the bridge, "This way to the Goatman." It was a bold move, a playful jab at the folks who'd come to buy his goats, a sign of pride in the life he'd built despite the odds. But it caught the wrong kind of attention. In August 1938, the story takes a grim turn, a turn that'd mark this bridge forever. A group of local Klansmen, enraged by Oscar's success and that sign, decided to take matters into their own hands. But here's where it gets strange. When they looked down to see their handiwork, Oscar's body was gone. Vanished. No trace of him, no sign of struggle, just an empty noose swaying in the wind, mocking their cruelty with its silence. What they did next is the stuff of nightmares. Legend says they set fire to the house with Oscar's wife and children inside, hoping to bait him into showing himself, their flames a cruel echo of the hatred that burned in their hearts.
Scars everywhere.
After the Klansmen burned Oscar Washburn's house, or slaughtered his family, depending on the telling, something changed on this bridge. Something unholy was born in the ashes of that night. Locals say that's when the Goatman was born. Some claim Oscar's spirit fused with the goats he loved, transforming him into a creature, half man, half beast, a being of vengeance that haunts this bridge to this day, his anger burning hotter than the fire that took his family. They say he seeks revenge, luring the unwary to their doom with the sound of hooves on wood or a guttural cry in the night. A cry that chills the blood, a cry that speaks of a pain so deep it can't be silenced, a pain that's been waiting for decades to be heard. Some say he guards the bridge, a sentinel of the damned, protecting the land that was once his, while others whisper he's a force of retribution, hunting those who carry the same hatred that took his life. By the 1940s, the legend had taken hold. Folks started whispering about the Goatman, saying he guarded the bridge, chasing off anyone who dared to cross at night, his presence a warning to those who'd forgotten the blood that stained this ground. They spoke of hearing his hooves in the dead of night, of seeing his glowing eyes in the woods, of feeling a coldness that ain't natural, a coldness that seeps into your bones and don't let go. Kids dared each other to cross the bridge after dark, whispering that if you knock 3 times, the Goatman will appear. His glowing eyes staring from the woods, his hooves clopping closer, his growl a promise of something you don't want to face. It was a game, a test of courage, but the stories they told after weren't games. Stories of shadows that moved too fast, of whispers that called their names, of a presence that followed them home. By the 1950s, the stories had spread beyond Denton. Newspapers picked up tales of strange sightings, of kids running home with tales of a creature they couldn't explain, of glowing eyes and hoofbeats that haunted their dreams. Some say the Goatman's just a story, a cautionary tale to scare kids away from a rickety old bridge, to keep them safe from the dangers of the night. But others, they ain't so sure, not after what they've seen, what they've felt on these planks. By the 1960s, stories of strange sightings started spreading. Folks claimed to see glowing eyes in the woods, hearing hooves when no one was there, feeling a coldness that ain't natural, a coldness that clings to you like a second skin. The legend grew, passed down through generations like a dark heirloom, each telling adding to its terror. And with each telling, the Goatman became more real and more dangerous, a force that'd haunt this bridge for decades to come. Fast forward to today, Goatman's Bridge ain't just a legend no more. It's a hotbed of paranormal activity, a place where the veil between worlds feels thinner than the fog that clings to these planks, where the past don't just whisper, it screams. Visitors have reported seeing glowing red eyes staring at them from the woods. Eyes that don't blink, eyes that seem to burn with a hatred older than the bridge itself. Others hear footsteps or hooves clacking across the bridge when no one's there, the sound echoing like a heartbeat in the night, a heartbeat that don't belong to the living. Some claim to feel a sudden coldness, a heaviness in the air, like something's watching them, something that don't want him here. One local, Jane Doe, shared this story. I was crossing the bridge at dusk when I heard it. A low growl, then the sound of hooves clacking closer and closer. I turned round, but the bridge was empty, not a soul in sight. I felt a cold hand brush my neck, and I ran faster than I ever have in my life, the growl following me all the way home, echoing in my dreams for weeks after. The bridge's reputation caught the attention of paranormal investigators. In 2011, the TV show Ghost Adventures paid a visit, their cameras rolling as they tried to make contact with whatever haunts this place. They heard growls, knocks, and whispers, capturing EVPs, electronic voice phenomena that seemed to answer their questions. Voices that spoke of anger, of pain, of something that don't rest easy, something that's been waiting for decades to be heard. One voice, faint but clear, said, "Get out." Another growled what sounded like Goatman, the name echoing through the night, a name that carried the weight of a century's worth of pain. The crew even claimed to feel cold hands brushing against them in the dark, hands that weren't attached to any living thing, hands that left them shaking long after they packed up and left, their minds haunted by what they touched in the shadows. A few years later, BuzzFeed Unsolved took their turn. Ryan Bergera, the believer, was convinced something sinister lingered here, his eyes darting to the woods with every creak, every rustle in the trees. Shane Madej, the skeptic, taunted the Goatman, daring him to show himself, his voice echoing across the bridge like a challenge that'd soon be answered in ways he didn't expect, ways that'd leave them both questioning what they thought they knew about this place. They didn't catch a clear apparition, but their spirit box picked up words: leave, hate, blood, that left them rattled, words that seemed to speak of a hatred that had never died, a hatred that had been burning since that night in 1938, a hatred that still hung in the air like the fog, waiting for anyone foolish enough to cross its path. Whether you buy into it or not, these investigations have fueled the bridge's mystique, drawn more folks to test their courage against the Goatman, to see if the legends are true, or if the darkness here is something even worse, something that don't let go once it's got ya.
Scars everywhere.
The darkness of Goatman's Bridge don't let go easy. Folks who've been here carry its weight long after they leave. Their stories a warning to those who'd cross these planks. The Ghost Adventures crew learned that the hard way in 2011. Cameraman Jay Wasley and his then-wife Ashley, the still photographer, were marked by this place. Ashley felt a rage take hold, lashing out at the crew in ways she couldn't control, her voice not her own, her body shaking with something dark. In the woods, something attacked her, left bruises on her leg, a gash on her head, as if the Goatman had clawed at her. Jay said it broke their marriage, the trauma lingering for years, a darkness that followed them home, haunting their dreams with red eyes and guttural growls. In 2023, a visitor felt a cold hand grip her shoulder. She turned, but no one was there. Yet the grip tightened, leaving marks that lasted days. Her nights filled with whispers of Goatman that wouldn't stop, echoing in her mind like a curse. Another group of 3 women from Oklahoma, exploring the trails in 2022, heard a guttural growl so loud they thought it was a bear, but the woods were empty, save for a shadow with antlers that vanished when they screamed, leaving them too scared to ever come back. It ain't just TV crews who've felt the Goatman's presence. Everyday folks bring back evidence that makes you question what's real. Evidence that lingers like a cold hand on your neck long after the fog has cleared. Folks have captured strange things here. Photos of shadowy figures with antlers, videos of lights flickering in the woods with no source, recordings of voices that ain't human, whispering "Goatman" or "Get out." Their tones so full of rage it sends chills down your spine. One woman, visiting in 2023, recorded a guttural growl that followed her home, echoing in her dreams for weeks, leaving her too scared to sleep without a light on. Some feel a cold hand on their neck when they're alone. A touch that ain't from the living, leaving them shaking, their skin crawling with the feeling of being watched. In 2011, the Ghost Adventures crew came here. One of the team members, Aaron Goodwin, reported having a very difficult time at the Goatman Bridge. In that episode, which has been widely shared in clips online, Aaron Goodwin describes and is shown reacting to an intense experience where he says he was violently pushed backward a significant distance by a black mass, with other team members remarking that he landed about 20 feet from where he was standing. He was left in pain, significant fear, and confusion. A darkness he couldn't shake, a darkness that still haunts him. Locals tell of worse. 3 women from Oklahoma felt something brush their shoulders on the trails, but no one was there. Another visitor in 2022 saw a figure with antlers holding 2 heads under its arms, its red eyes burning with hate before it vanished into the fog. Some say if you knock 3 times at midnight, the Goatman will drag you into the woods. Descendants of the Klansmen who killed Oscar Washburn ain't safe, their blood calling him forth for revenge. Today, Goatman's Bridge draws folks from all over, armed with cameras and courage, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Goatman. Closed to vehicles since 2001, it's now a pedestrian path near Denton, its planks worn by countless footsteps, each one carrying a story. Locals report lights in the woods, voices on the wind, a coldness that seeps into your bones, a coldness that feels like it's been waiting for you, watching from the shadows with eyes that never blink. Some say a young mother spirit haunts here too, crying for her lost child, vanishing when you get close. Locals whisper the Goatman took her baby, and she threw herself from the bridge in grief. Whether it's the Goatman, her ghost, or the weight of history, this place has an energy you can't ignore. If you visit, respect the site. It's Texas heritage, a place where the past still speaks, still watches, still waits for those who dare to cross. There's no denying the power of this bridge's story, a chilling reminder that some mysteries refuse to fade, some wounds refuse to heal, some spirits refuse to rest. What do you think? Is the Goatman real or just a shadow of the past? Share your thoughts or your own bridge stories below, and let's keep the mystery alive, here where the fog never truly clears. We've journeyed into the chilling history of Goatman's Bridge, where the veil between worlds feels thin. As we conclude this exploration of its haunted past, remember the tales that linger in the mist. If you felt the spectral chill with us today, subscribe to Mysterio Files for more gothic horror investigations, and don't forget to share your own eerie encounters in the comments below. Remember, some scars in life never truly fade. Stay creepy, Mysterio Files.